People were stunned to hear that President Cyril Ramaphosa is prepared to do anything to please the European Union. He doesn't care about the people who voted for him, the South Africans. This was revealed when he was speaking on the sidelines of the G20 summit, where he stated that he's planning to close more mines and lots of factories, and lots of people are going to be unemployed, and load shedding is on the card because he's gonna push for renewable energy at all costs. This really made the Europeans happy. There's a clip that I'm about to play of him telling these things, and then after that I'm gonna play you a clip of the president of European Union. They are very happy that Africa is adopting this renewable energy thing. It's their cost. As long as Europe makes money out of it, they don't care. But please watch the clip. Don't forget to leave your comment. Thank you.
To make sure that as people lose jobs and as their livelihoods are eroded, and as towns where we used to draw fossil fuels deserted.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you.
Forward. And of course, we increase our investment in the rest of the world for infrastructure, building infrastructure for renewables, specifically in Africa, but we're going to speak about this in a little while. So many good reasons to triple the renewables by 2030, our global goal.
Well done. Incredible.
Watching this clip, it's really disappointing to see our president being disrespected, being ignored, being treated as nobody, like a child, smiling at nothing, trying to hide his feeling. He looks so weak, and this is really disappointing for me. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Your Excellency, South Africa knows well the challenges of power supply. I'd love to hear from you. What do you see as the opportunities for renewable energy, both in South Africa and across the entire continent?
Well, thank you very much. And firstly, I think I'd like to thank Global Citizen for focusing on the challenges that many countries face in the world. And as you correctly said, many people of the African continent still live in darkness. We've got millions, almost 600 million people, who do not have access to electricity. But the decision that was taken at COP28 to triple renewable energy then yields a number of opportunities for us in Africa, in that moving towards renewable energy, and even if some are starting from zero, means that there are great opportunities to ensure that people get energy, clean energy, much cheaper energy. Africa is well endowed with sun and wind, and that can be utilized to good effect to grow our economies, to ensure that at a social level people have access to electricity. But of course, this does not come as cheap as one would think. It requires finance, it requires clear decisions by leaders, not only on the African continent, but by leaders globally. And it is good that COP28 took that decision. So what we would like to see is that measurement that Her Excellency van der Leyen has spoken about being acted on, where we get a really good partnership as the African continent with the more developed economies, so that we can follow through on some of the commitments that were made, because those commitments then lead to the opportunities that you were talking about. And with those opportunities, we're then able to get finance, we're able to get technologies, we're able to ensure that our economies grow and enterprises are spread around the African continent. In the end, as the Excellency says, it is energy that drives growth, that drives economies. So renewable energy then gives us those opportunities. And in South Africa, we are taking up that opportunity for renewable energy. We faced enormous challenges in the past 3 years with regards to energy, and the reliance that we've had on fossil fuels is what has taken us back. But now with having taken the decision to have more and more renewable energy, we're actually seeing expansion. We see the private sector coming in and installing really good renewable energy going forward. So there are great opportunities. We've experienced it in South Africa, and we want this to be spread. But as we go towards renewable energy, there must be a just transition. Because there is a transition that we in South Africa are having to go through. But it must be just, and it must be the type of transition that advances the interests of ordinary people as it grows the economy. So the opportunities are enormous, and we just need to utilize the enablers to ensure that there is benefit for everyone.
And President Ramaphosa, just before we move on, can you just elaborate for everyone, when you refer to the just transition, can you explain for those in the room who aren't familiar with that term, what that really means for economies like South Africa?
Well, just transition means that as we move towards renewable energy, we should not just say that we will transition to renewable energy without taking into account the livelihoods of ordinary people, the jobs that could be lost as we move to renewable energy, because right now we are much more dependent on fossil fuels. So as we go to renewables, relying more on the sun, on the wind, on hydro, we've got to make sure that as people lose jobs and as their livelihoods are eroded, and as towns where we used to draw fossil fuels deserted, we've got to make sure that the transition for ordinary people becomes a transition that they benefit from. Workers must never feel that they're going to lose jobs without maybe upskilling and being skilled in new technologies, and all that is possible if we are focused on a just transition. As we move to COP30, that's what we would like to see COP30 focusing on. We are going to be president now of the G20, and we would like, and maybe you will talk about that in a minute, we would like the world, the more developed economies to also focus on how countries that now need to have more and more energy, renewable energy, can actually move in that direction without the destruction of livelihoods, without downscaling their economies, but with upskilling people, with giving people skills, new technologies, and cheaper finance that is going to enable all of us to benefit. That's what just transition should mean.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you.
Watching this clip, it's really disappointing to see our president being disrespected, being ignored, being treated as nobody, like a child, smiling at nothing, trying to hide his feeling. He looks so weak, and this is really, really disappointing for me. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.